Yes, 100%.
Oh hi, didn't see you there. For the last 2 weeks, the National Trust's land at Bodiam Castle has been home to a group of archaeologists, students, faithful volunteers and a few tag-alongs. We've been investigating Bodiam's rich history and looking to find out more about the Guinness hop picking, medieval lynchets and hopefully, cross fingers, Romans. Previous excavations around the site in the 60s and 80s found Roman activity in the fields between the River Rother and the steam train. These are the floodplains for the Rother, so there are years of redeposited clay on top of the Roman activity. The previous 1960 and 1967 excavations were not well documented, and in some cases not documented at all. Because of this previous excavation, the castle and parts of the field below the castle are now an ancient scheduled monument, so it cannot be touched at all without the permission of Historic England. We're digging in parts of the field that are not scheduled and hoping to be allowed into the scheduled area next year. We've all been on our best behaviour. We've opened 4 trenches in the bottom field to see what we could find. Around the 1830s, the field was used for hop picking, and we found evidence of this in Trench 1. Over to you, Steve.
This is Trench 1. It was targeting the geophysical anomalies, one that ran north-south, one that ran east-west. The north-south anomaly looks like it's associated with the hop gardens that were here in the sort of mid to late 20th century. There's a number of metal pins you can see in the ground. They're secured to bits of timber. Those timbers would have been the anchors, basically for the hop garden furniture. So you've got a pin on either side, a cable running up between them, and then they would have been looped over. There's another cable along the length of the actual hop gardens, and the hops would have grown up and over that. So we've got north-south running stuff associated with the hop gardens. Interestingly, if you Google hop gardens, you'll find some great photographs of them doing the picking, when all the picking was done at stills. The other geophysical anomaly is this large thing you can see behind me here. Now, we know from the late 1800s survey mapping that there's a number of ditches that ran through this field and terminated the ditch at the eastern side of the field, and then now with having sluice gates. That's this later sort of slightly narrow thing you can see down here. What's quite exciting is we've actually discovered that is a recut or truncation or reworking of a much earlier channel. That channel stretches from just over there, where you can see there's a pin, over 5 metres along to where Sid is working there. If you come and look into it, you can see down the bottom, got clay and also peat beginning to form, along with lots of other fresh vegetation. Well, we haven't got a date on this yet, but looking at the field, I would hazard a guess that it's definitely late medieval. It's got a really nice aerobic kind of smell that you give these sort of deposits. Yeah, so I'm currently continuing to dig this down. Sort of dropping this step back here so we can access and egress safely. And we've also got another couple of slots being done further along. Charlotte jar in the middle. Again, they're taking that down to try and get the depth. Again, we might have to step that out just because once it gets beyond 1 metre in depth, you start to worry about access issues. So we'll probably drop some of the area around them to allow them to go actually deeper within it and actually get to the bottom. And then, yeah, final slot at the back end. Just what we're trying to do is make sure we capture both ditches all the way along so we can plot their course, get that whole GPS in and record it.
Trench 2 found the Paleo Channel, which is an earlier phase of the River Rother. It found evidence of the flooding redeposition, agricultural use, and then discovered a large unmapped service pipe which brought digging to a complete halt. And in Trench 3, with Al.
We know that the Roman deposits on the other side of the causeway that carries the road now were found at about 0.3 metres above sea level. And so we've got some quite wide trenches open here, and that allows us to step down several levels and going quite deep. So, although so far we're not actually finding any artefacts in this deposit, we are now down at a layer that's about a metre above sea level, where we're getting very dark blue anaerobic clay, which has preserved the remains of all sorts of roots and other bits of organic material. And we've got fragments of proper charcoal, so that we know that we're not into the Ice Age yet. We're actually in a period when humans were living in this landscape. And it's potentially in this kind of deposit that we'll get well-preserved organic material created by humans. If we go down a little bit further, we'll know that we're in the region where the Roman deposits started to occur. If we don't find them by the deepest we can go in this trench, we know we're not going to be able to come back and look at them next year, because, as you can see, we've moved quite a lot of material to get down to this depth, and it's getting to the point where it's going to be impractical to go in deeper. So we're not actually finding any artifacts, but it's really useful information that will allow us to plan our strategy for next year.
In Trench 4, John and the team dug down over a metre and found almost absolutely nothing. They did find a land drain, which they proceeded to dig up and returned to the finds team, which they were never forgiven for. There was a feature, but that trench is also finished for now, but later excavations will be carried out, including going down several metres in order to understand the River Rother Valley as a whole. Up at the top field, Trench 5 was looking for a Roman road. Over to you, Angela.
This is a trench which is over what appears to be a series of routeways, not only going in that direction but also going down. So we had, I think as many of you might have heard if you've been at previous briefings, we had a first metalled surface which you can see in the section on both sides. The surface was very iron ore rich, a lot of perhaps slag or failed smeltings, and poured directly over a previous phase of route, which is these beautiful ruts. And you can still see some of it in the ruts there. We're just taking it out. So then next to it we have another routeway, again with a slightly different construction but still very iron rich, still very slag heavy, and which covered that area. So that's quite a large area. It could be that there was an initial rutted path that became very rutted and perhaps boggy, and then they decided to metal it over, and then they decided to widen it, and then a gully formed between the two, possibly at the weak spot. But then beyond that we have another surface, which is a very large surface that you can see we just put a big slot into, which we're not sure about yet. We're just taking that back. That's got some sandstone in it, very small shaped blocks of sandstone, but they are not in a regular pattern. They are just sort of thrown in there. So not sure what all that means. And next to it, under the surface there in the middle, under the metalled surface, Gail has just dug a slot, and we have another rut in there, but just one, a solitary rut. So we're going to have to find today its companion, which might be this way or might be that way, we'll see. And today we're going to take back the slot that Gail's digging, see where that rut goes. Does it continue? Is there another one that appears? And then go down further in the slot that's beyond it to see if we can find a rut or other evidence of an earlier routeway. So we have not found any dating evidence for any of these routeways stroke roads, not a single thing. But we have found here and then in there Iron Age pod, thanks to Mick and Roy and who else Will. And then Malcolm, I think, was in there. Sorry?
Will? Did you not find anything there?
No, I don't think Will did. I think Malcolm did. So anyway, we have found some Iron Age pot and a possible piece of Bronze Age, again, which Mick found down here. So here, the last and the lowest point that we have here is this, where under this white mottled surface, a sort of marl surface, we have a very interesting possible feature with vertical sides. So at first we thought ditch, but then where's the other side? So for the moment, no other side. And we also have these, I don't know if they're outcrops of sandstone or something happening, popping up here, which is a bit unusual.
Then John opened Trench 6 to find the continuation of the road.
Well, this is Trench 6 at Bodiam. We're excavating on this linear feature, track rail road. Trench 5 has started up here and discovered a very pronounced feature. We're down here and we've cut across a metal surface which appears to comprise mainly sandstone with a bit of flint. And at the moment we're in the process of trying to clear away the topsoil and find out exactly what's going on. Okay, well, this is the feature we've discovered. Initially we cut back the surface here only about 20 or 30 centimetres below the surface and discovered a packed sandstone layer. We then extended the slot east and west and discovered a much more rubbly, lumpy surface on both sides. One that side and one this side that Jax is clearing out. So there's a sort of double feature there. This feature appears to fade away about here into a possible ditch. So at the moment the students are taking away, doing a half section, going down to see whether we're actually in a ditch or whether we just haven't gone quite deep enough to find the feature. What is strange that in Trench 5, up on the hill there, they've discovered a lot of ironstone and slag forming quite a good surface to their road. We found quite a lot of loose ironstone, but no coherent surface yet. But because we're so shallow, it might have been ploughed off. So we're only about 20 to 30 centimetres. Trench 5, they're down about 90 plus. So we could have been had a lot of plough damage. We're finding a lot of loose slag as well. Other than that, we're not finding any great finds in the archaeology. A lot in the topsoil, little bits of pot, bits of building material, a potential either arrowhead or pencil sharpener. But we will know more as we cut through, and that's the idea. In the end, if we've got time, we'll cut through both sides and see what's there and what's underneath, and we should find something. But it's an interesting feature.
And finally, Trench 7 was opened by me, to investigate some anomalies on the magnetometry survey. You may or may not remember me. So what we've got in Trench 7 is you've got a mixture of features, and we know this from the magnetometry survey that was done just recently. So the trench is placed over not one, not two, but three anomalies in the magnetometry survey. So right here to my right, your left, as you're watching this, viewers, you will see our first anomaly, which the dream team in the corner, Mark, Sadia and Tabby, are currently excavating for us. And they're just coming down onto 003, which is a yellowy layer and seems to stretch across the entire trench. We're hoping that by going through 003, we'll get to the anomaly, but we'll let you know. So in here we have our second feature. We have what we think is going to be a ditch, which showed up nice and clearly on both the magnetometry survey and immediately removing the topsoil. However, as we've gone through context 2, which overlies context 3, it seems to have vanished again. So we're hoping that by removing context 3, we will come through back onto the ditch, which should be, fingers crossed, full of stuff and clear to see. So we should be able to get both the cut and fill of this feature. Again, cross fingers. And over here we've got Zeb valiantly working on our final feature in this trench, which is supposed to be directly underneath his hand basically. So again, we're slightly foiled by this 003 layer, which seems to cover the entire trench. My current working theory is we've had two hill wash events where basically you get a lot of rain and the dirt moves down from the top of the hill, and as the top of the hill is literally there, we've had two thin layers of hill wash capping the entire trench and the features underneath. So you'll have to tune in next week, dear viewers, to see our progress.